Have you ever looked at a landmark and wondered about the pain, the sweat, and the tears hidden behind its stones? Today, if you visit New York City, you will see a masterpiece of engineering, the Brooklyn Bridge. It stands tall over the East River, connecting Manhattan and Brooklyn. It looks strong and eternal, but in the late 1800s, this bridge was called the Impossible Dream. People laughed at the idea. They said it was a project for madmen. Today, we are going to explore a story not just of steel and cables, but of a father and a son who refused to give up, even when they lost almost everything. This is a story about the power of the human spirit. Our story begins in 1883, but the dream started much earlier. John Roebling was a brilliant engineer. He was a man with a creative mind. This means he could see solutions where others only saw problems. He looked at the dangerous water between Manhattan and Brooklyn and thought, we can build a bridge here. At that time, building such a long bridge was never done before. When John presented his plan to other experts, they shook their heads. They told him he was crazy. They said it was a project for madmen. In their eyes, it was an impossible mission. But John didn't listen to the critics. He had a secret weapon, his son, Washington Roebling. Washington was also a talented engineer. John managed to convince his son. He made his son believe in the dream too. Together, they spent hours talking about how to overcome the obstacles. An obstacle is something that blocks your way or makes a task difficult. Eventually, their passion was so strong that even the banks started to believe in them. They received the money, hired the workers, and the construction finally began. The dream was becoming a reality. Success often comes with a price. Only a few months after the project started, a terrible disaster happened. A disaster is a very bad accident that causes great damage or loss of life. There was a tragic accident at the construction site. John Roebling, the father and the leader, lost his life. The project lost its heart. But the tragedy didn't stop there. Washington Roebling, who survived the accident, suffered a severe brain injury. Washington survived, but his body was broken. He could no longer walk. He could no longer speak. He was paralyzed, which means he was unable to move his body. Everyone in New York thought the project was over. People whispered, only the Roeblings understood how to build this bridge. Now the father is dead and the son is a vegetable. The bridge will never be finished. It seemed like the skeptics were right after all. Washington Roebling was trapped in his body, but his mind was still sharp. Being sharp in this context means he was still very intelligent and clear-headed. He was lying in his hospital bed, watching the sunlight on the river, and he refused to let the dream die. He needed a way to communicate. He discovered that he could still move one single finger, just one. He developed a code. This was a special system of signals. By tapping his moving finger against his wife's arm, he began to speak. He used this code to send instructions to the other engineers. For 13 long years, Washington Roebling supervised the construction of one of the world's greatest bridges using only one finger. His wife, Emily Roebling, became his hands and feet. She learned engineering and carried his messages to the site every day. Despite the pain, despite the silence, and despite the years of slow progress, the bridge grew higher and stronger. In 1883, the Brooklyn Bridge finally opened. It was a miracle of engineering. When you see those giant stone towers today, remember that they were built by a man who could not move, but who refused to stop. Washington Roebling proved that a physical handicap, a condition that makes it difficult to do things, cannot stop a person with a strong will. He didn't focus on what he lost, he focused on the one finger he could still move. As the great inventor Thomas Edison once said, You will discover yourself at a higher level after every time you overcome adversity. Adversity means a difficult or unlucky situation. The Roeblings faced the ultimate adversity, and because of that, they reached a higher level of greatness. So, the next time you face a problem that feels impossible, remember Washington Roebling. Remember that even if you can only move one finger, you can still build a bridge. You can still change the world. Thank you for listening to this story. Keep dreaming, keep building, and never give up.